The night air was thick with tension, the kind that clings to your skin and sets your nerves on edge. I stood on my porch, the glow of a single street lamp casting long shadows across the cul-de-sac, when I heard the scream of a sharp, guttural cry that sliced through the stillness of Meadowbrook Lane. It wasn't the first time I'd heard trouble brewing in this so-called idyllic neighborhood, but it was the first time it felt personal. My fists clenched as I scanned the row of pristine houses, their manicured lawns and glowing windows hiding secrets I'd only begun to unravel. At the center of it all was Eleanor Graysoner, Queen Ellie, as the neighbors whispered when they thought no one was listening. She wasn't just the president of the Meadowbrook Homeowners Association. She was its dictator, a 64-year-old tyrant with a silver-streaked pixie cut and a glare that could curdle milk. And tonight, she'd gone too far. My name is Daniel Harper, and I never wanted to be the guy who takes down the neighborhood dragon. I'm a 38-year-old software engineer, single, quiet, the kind of person who minds his own business and keeps his grass trimmed just enough to avoid a citation. But when you live next to someone like Eleanor, peace isn't an option, it's a fantasy. It started 6 months ago when my older brother, Tom, moved in with me. Tom's 62, a retired mechanic with a warm laugh and a mind that's starting to slip thanks to early-stage dementia. After his wife, Lisa, died in a car accident, he couldn't live alone anymore. I didn't hesitate to take him in. He's family, and family sticks together. But Eleanor? She saw Tom as a liability, a crack in her perfect little empire. The trouble began with the ramp. Tom's knees aren't what they used to be, and after a few near falls on the front steps, I built a simple wooden wheelchair, ramp nothing fancy, just enough to get him in and out safely. I'd barely hammered the last nail when Eleanor materialized at my door, her signature clipboard clutched like a scepter. She wore a navy blazer that screamed authority and a pair of reading glasses perched on her nose. Though I'd bet my life she didn't need them, they were just part of the costume. "Mr. Harper," she said, her voice dripping with faux civility, "this ramp is an eyesore. Section 7, Clause 19 of the Meadowbrook Guidelines explicitly prohibits unapproved structural modifications to front-facing exteriors. You'll need to remove it." I took a deep breath, keeping my tone even. "It's for my brother, Eleanor. He needs it to get around. The Americans with Disabilities Act." "I'm familiar with the ADA," she snapped, cutting me off. "But there's a process. Form 22B, Architectural Review Request. Submit it, and the board will decide. Until then, this monstrosity is a violation." Monstrosity? It was a ramp, not a carnival ride. I filed the damn form that night, but I knew it wouldn't matter. Eleanor had a knack for turning molehills into mountains, and she'd already decided I was her next target. Over the next month, the citations piled up like junk mail. My mailbox was half an inch too close to the sidewalk. My recycling bin lingered curbside 5 minutes past pickup. And my personal favorite, Tom's hummingbird feeder, was an unauthorized avian attractant. Tom thought it was hilarious. "She's got too much time on her hands," he'd chuckle, sipping coffee on the porch while Eleanor stalked the street with her tape measure. I'd laugh along, but inside I was simmering. Then came the storm. Not a literal one, though. The dark clouds rolling in that week felt ominous, enough but a real gut punch. I've been battling a nagging pain in my side for days, chalking it up to stress, until it hit me like a freight train one Tuesday morning. Appendicitis. I barely made it to the ER before they wheeled me into surgery. My neighbor, Sarah, a kind-hearted nurse with 2 kids and a golden retriever, promised to check on Tom twice a day. "Don't worry, Dan," she said, patting my arm as the ambulance doors closed. "I've got him." I trusted her, but I didn't account for Eleanor. The surgery went south. Complications. They called it in what should have been an overnight stay stretched into 4 days. I called Sarah from my hospital bed, groggy from painkillers, and she assured me Tom was fine, if a little quieter than usual. "He's probably just missing you," she said. I bought it, too doped up to question it. But when I finally dragged myself home, weak and wincing with every step, I knew something was wrong. Tom was pacing the living room, his hands trembling, his eyes darting like a trapped animal's. The house smelled faintly of burnt toast tried, cooking, and forgotten the stove was on. "Tom, you okay?" I asked, dropping my bag by the door. He turned, his brow furrowed. "The lady took my pills." My stomach dropped. "What lady? What pills?" "The one with the clipboard. Said they weren't allowed." I bolted to the kitchen, where Tom's pill organizer sat on the counter. It was a mess. Half the slots were empty, including his donepezil for dementia and his lisinopril for blood pressure. In their place was a folded note, written in Eleanor's meticulous cursive. "Unapproved substances confiscated per Section 14, Hazardous Materials Policy. Board review scheduled for Friday." My vision blurred, not from pain but from fury. She'd been in my house. She'd taken his medication. Tom needed those pills to function, to keep his mind from slipping further into the fog, and she'd waltzed in like she owned the place. I grabbed my phone and dialed Eleanor. It went straight to voicemail, her chipper greeting mocking me. "Eleanor, this is Daniel Harper. You broke into my home and stole my brother's prescriptions while I was in the hospital. That's illegal breaking and entering, theft, elder endangerment. Return them now, or I'm calling the cops." I hung up, my hands shaking so hard I nearly dropped the phone. 15 minutes later, she was at my door, arms crossed, her lips pursed into a thin line. She didn't even flinch as she launched into her defense. "Mr. Harper, I received reports of suspicious behavior at your residence. Neighbors saw Tom wandering outside, disoriented. I conducted a wellness check. Those pills could have been anything narcotics, for all I knew. We have a zero-tolerance policy." "You enter my home without permission," I said, my voice low and tight. "You took medications prescribed by a doctor. Where are they?" "They're secure at my residence until the board verifies their legitimacy," she replied, her tone icy. "File Form 19D if you want them back." That's when I remembered the camera. After the ramp fiasco, I'd installed a discrete security cam above the door, motion activated with audio. Eleanor didn't know it was there. I checked the footage remotely from the hospital, but I hadn't watched the full recordings yet. "Give me the meds, Eleanor," I said, one last chance. "They're critical for Tom's health." She smirked, a smug, victorious little twist of her mouth. "Submit the paperwork." "Oh, and those tacky string lights in your backyard? Another violation. Fix it by Friday." She turned on her heel and strode off, her heels clicking against the pavement. I didn't waste a second. I pulled up the camera app on my phone and scrolled through the footage. There it was, Eleanor, 2 days ago, letting herself in with a key I hadn't even known she had, rifling through my kitchen, pocketing Tom's pill bottles with a look of disdain. She muttered something about standards as she tucked them into her purse. Crystal clear, undeniable evidence. I downloaded the video, called 911, and waited. The police arrived, fast. 2 officers, a wiry guy named Officer Kent and a sharp-eyed woman, Detective Lopez. I showed them the footage, explained Tom's condition, and watched Lopez's jaw tighten as the video played. "This is breaking and entering, theft, and given your brother's dependency on those meds, it could qualify as elder abuse," she said, her voice clipped. "We're going to her house now. You can come, but stay in the car." We pulled up to Eleanor's Placia, sprawling ranch-style home, with rose bushes so perfect they looked plastic. I stayed in the back seat of the cruiser, peering through the window as Lopez and Kent knocked. Eleanor answered, her expression shifting from irritation to panic in seconds. She tried to slam the door, but Lopez wedged her boo in the frame. They disappeared inside, and I sat there, heart pounding, imagining her scrambling for excuses. 20 minutes later, they emerged. Lopez held an evidence bag with Tom's pill bottles along with a handful of other items I didn't recognize. A silver bracelet, a pocket knife, a stack of old photos. Eleanor trailed behind, wrists cuffed, her face a mix of fury and humiliation. As they led her to the cruiser, she spotted me and exploded. "You're ruining me, Harper. This is slander. I was safeguarding this community'll pay for this." Kent handed me the bag. "We found these in her office, along with stuff from other neighbors. Looks like she's been at this for a while. We'll need a full statement at the station, but take care of your brother first." I raced home, got Tom his meds, and watched the color return to his face as he settled into his chair with a relieved sigh. "That lady's a piece of work," he muttered, and I couldn't help but laugh. By nightfall, my phone was blowing up texts from neighbors, some stunned, others confessing they'd lost things too. Jewelry, keepsakes, even a kid's baseball trophy. Eleanor had been looting us all under the guise of inspections. The next week, the HOA called an emergency meeting. The vice president, a soft-spoken accountant named Margaret, took the reins. Eleanor's chair sat empty as Margaret laid out. Eleanor faced charges breaking and entering, theft, elder abuse, and the board had voted her out unanimously. "She'll also bear the legal costs," Margaret added. "Our bylaws don't cover criminal behavior." The room cheered, a wave of relief washing over us. Neighbors stood, one by one, sharing their stories. A widow whose late husband's watch vanished, a dad whose son's model plane disappeared. All recovered from Eleanor's house. But it wasn't over. 3 days later, I was unloading groceries when a red sedan screeched into my driveway. Eleanor leapt out, wild-eyed, her hair a mess, clutching a thick envelope. She stormed toward me, her voice a jagged edge. "Do you know what you've done? 8 counts of theft. Elder abusing me, teaching license is gone. My savings are drained. My sister won't even speak to me. 5 years in prison. Daniel, 5 years. All because you couldn't follow the rules." I set the bags down, meeting her gaze. "You stole from me, Eleanor. You put my brother's life at risk. What did you expect?" "I was upholding standards," she shrieked, tears streaking her face. 5 years of my life for this place, and now I'm nothing. The board's suing me $32,000 in fees. My lawyer says I'll be lucky to get probation." Neighbors peeked from their windows, drawn by the commotion. She noticed them too, and her bravado crumbled. "Ruined," she whispered, staring at the envelope. "Everything gone." She staggered back to her car, a broken figure in a wrinkled blazer, and drove off. I stood there, the weight of it sinking in. I hadn't wanted this, not the handcuffs, not the prison threat, but Eleanor had built her throne on fear, and it had finally collapsed. Meadowbrook Lane was ours again, and for the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. If you were the one in this story, how would you react? Would you stand up and fight back, or accept the unreasonable pressure and control from the HOA? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video with more people. Your small action gives us the motivation to keep bringing you more intense and engaging stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.